We walk slowly up the length of Carl's driveway, our shadows covering its entire length in the light of the sunset. TJ's starting to drag his feet again as we get closer to the door, and I stop to look back at him. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure? We don't have to do this today. We can come by tomorrow. TJ shakes his head, taking a swig of water from a water bottle we'd bought from the convenience store on the way here.
No, I'm just a little tired. It's been a long day.
Yeah. I wait for TJ to catch up, then match his stride as we make our way up the sidewalk, then up the steps to the door. TJ doesn't do anything, instead just gripping onto his water bottle, making the plastic creak. I wait another second, then reach out across TJ to press the doorbell. The faint, fancy chime emanates from behind the door for a few seconds, followed by the clopping of Carl's hooves on the wooden floor. There's a pause once he reaches the door, and I imagine him hesitating as he reaches for the door handle. A second later, though, it swings open, revealing a very bleary, red-eyed ram. Carl blinks at us a few times through the bright orange sun behind us. Finally, he steps aside, opening the door wider. Hey, guys. There's a pause as I wait to see if TJ will say anything. When he doesn't, I clear my throat and step forward through the door. Hey, man, you okay? Not really. I don't say anything in return, instead spreading my arms out in the cool air of the mansion. I turn around and wait as TJ steps through the doorway, the lengths framed by the golden sunlight, the fine hairs on his fur lit up like white-hot wires. I see Carl's hand that's on the door sort of twitch like he's grabbing something in the air. Hey. TJ stands next to me, looking back at Carl.
Hello.
Carl vigorously rubs his arm. Listen. Carl pauses. Get the idea that he's wanting TJ to tell him that everything's okay, so he doesn't have to explain anything. That would definitely make things easier. But he doesn't say anything, just watches the ram. Carl rubs behind his head for a second, looking back out the door. I'm not sure why it's so hard for him to apologize to TJ. I had thought it was weird that Carl had apologized to me instead of the Lynx in the first place. Listen. Carl takes in a big, shuddery breath, blowing it out loudly. I was really messed up earlier. I wasn't thinking straight. TJ continues to watch Carl silently. His ears are up, at least. Carl stutters and stumbles over a few more syllables before he continues. Arlo. And I just wasn't thinking straight. He scuffs the hardwood floor loudly with a hoof. And I don't think he did anything like that. I was just pissed off. TJ is quiet for a few more seconds, but Carl doesn't offer anything more.
So, why were you angry?
Carl sighs and leans his head back against the door, his horns knocking loudly against it. You said some shit that I'm ass hurt about, okay? It wasn't your fault. TJ folds his arms, looking down.
Well, what was it I said?
Carl shakes his head. Stupid shit. I mean, stupid because of me. Stuff about school, car accidents, just brought up old stuff for me.
Oh.
But I don't think you ever did anything like I said. I was just being a huge dick. Sorry. His voice breaks a little at the end, and he quickly looks down at the floor, his ears down. DJ is quiet again. I think about changing the subject now that the apology is out of the way, but TJ speaks first. Thanks, Carl. And I'm sorry I brought stuff up like that. I'll try to remember in the future. Carl shakes his head, looking back up. Not your fault, man. We stand there awkwardly for a few more seconds. I guess I thought maybe Flynn had been saying stuff to you. That was why you said it. Uh-oh. Carl's non-denial hangs heavy in the air. I haven't seen Flynn in days, and I am wondering what he's been up to in that time. I'll have to ask Carl when TJ isn't around. As of now, though, I want to change the subject because things are getting awkward. So, TJ had an idea about the scavenger hunt thing. Carl looks at me as if just now realizing that I'm there. Scavenger hunt? Oh, yeah, the treasure hunt. TJ scratches his arm, looking embarrassed. Sydney's treasure hunt? TJ scratches harder at his arm, looking more and more flustered, so I jump in. Yeah, we were thinking about actually doing it to maybe find some closure. Carl frowns. Really? TJ stops scratching at his arm, his ears coming back up. Yeah, I believe things happen for a reason. That you found it now, while we're all here, means something, I think. Man, I mean, it's really old. You even think any of that stuff would be out there right now? Maybe. But I guess I'm not really looking to find anything. It's like a thing we can do while we remember him. I think it's a good way to find closure. I try to back TJ up under Carl's somewhat bewildered stare. Ram strokes his chin. I guess that sort of makes sense. I mean, if you're okay with doing it. TJ squares his stance, looking up. I am. It's been so long feeling this way. I feel like this might be our last chance to do something. Carl looks over at me. I nod, indicating I feel the same way. I don't fully understand this new direction in TJ either, but I sure as hell supported him. Well, okay then. I'll go grab it. You want to just open it now? Let's go to the motel or something, with Jenna there too. Okay. Carl finally shuts the door before making his way to the stairs. TJ seems to deflate then, his shoulders hunching back in. That wasn't so bad. I mumble to him once I think Carl's out of earshot. Yeah, it was okay. We stand there awkwardly as we wait. The whole situation is so strange. Carl comes back with a crumpled-looking white envelope in his hands. TJ eyes it, the fur standing up on the back of his neck. So, you dudes want to drive back to the motel, or... Actually, we didn't drive. Carl drops his hands to his sides. Are you freaking serious? I can't walk in that heat. TJ did. I tug up some of the fur on the lynx's neck to show Carl. TJ actually jumps a bit and I quickly let go. I want to ask him what's wrong, but Carl keeps talking. Man, I'm gonna smell like shit once we get there. The sun's almost gone anyway. Carl smirks at me. I sweat walking into wintertime. You can take a shower at the motel. Carl blows his breath out loudly, frowning. Okay, but I'm gonna put on more deodorant before we go. The walk back isn't so bad. Carl makes it out to be a lot worse than it is with all his gasping and wiping his face constantly. TJ gets a text from Jenna to meet at the diner instead of the motel since she's going there for dinner anyway. Once we walk in, Carl lets out a gasping groan of relief that turns a few heads. Jenna looks up from a corner booth and waves at us. I wave back and start making my way over. Going to the bathroom, gotta wipe my pits. TJ makes a sour face as he follows me to the table. Jenna scoots in so we can slide in next to her. So, what's this all about? Carl found a treasure hunt that Sydney made. Jenna toys with her brown leather purse, staring at it. Okay. Like a map or something? A letter. What are you going to do with it? Well? I look over at TJ, but he doesn't say anything, instead looking out the window at the sunset. We're thinking about doing it. You're thinking about going on the treasure hunt? Yeah. I mean... Jenna pauses, clearly trying to choose her words carefully. I mean, would there be anything left of it at this point? It would have to be at least 11 years old by now. Jenna looks over at TJ, studying his reaction. He doesn't give her anything, though, still staring out the window. I spread my hands out on the table, instantly regretting it as I feel the grease slide around under the pads. We're seeing it more as a closure sort of thing, a send-off. We're not really expecting to find something. TJ finally looks back at us. He made it for us, so I feel like we should do it. For him. Jenna stares back down at her purse. I guess Flynn won't be involved? No. And Leo? He's going to be busy for most of the week. I don't think he'd really want to anyway. Why not? No, TJ looks like he's trying to choose his words carefully. He pretends like it never happened. I don't want to bring it back up for him. No one says anything else until Carl shows back up, the fur on his head and face a little wet. Hey, Jenna. Carl? Jenna nods at him as he sits across from me. He reaches across the table, snatching up a menu from the metal holder in the center. I'll pay if anyone wants something. Jenna curls a lip in disgust, but I'm starving, so I start browsing the menu as well. TJ goes back to staring out the window, and I can see his ears twitching around. So, where's this treasure hunt thing? Carl looks up and sees that Jenna's staring at him. Huh? Oh, I have it. I'm gonna order real quick, though, if Chase is ready. I nod, and Carl waves his menu at Janice, who quickly bustles our way with a tray of glasses of water. She's wearing pants now, but there's definitely still something off about her. Her eyes are wide, her smile more like a grimace as she sets down her glasses and straws. She takes her orders well enough, though, and Jenna waits patiently as Carl and I order a meal and TJ gets a smoothie. Carl methodically tears off one end of the wrapper off his straw before he blows on the other end, shooting the rest of the wrapper at me. I flinch and try to catch it, failing as it falls to the floor. Jenna clears her throat loudly. So, where is it? Carl looks at her, the straw still in his mouth. Oh, right. Carl reaches into his pocket, then pulls out the envelope. He pushes it onto the table, face up. There's writing in black marker on the front. Treasure hunt number 7. We all stare at it. Should I read it? Carl sets a hand down on the letter. Or someone else. Carl's eyes briefly flick over to TJ, then quickly look back down at the letter. TJ's hand comes up, then surreptitiously scratches at an error before letting it fall back into his lap. It does seem appropriate that TJ open it, but if he doesn't want to... Carl looks just as hesitant, so I finally reach out and gently slide it out from under his hand. I can read it. No one objects, so I open it carefully, not wanting to rip anything as I pry the adhesive apart. A chill goes up my spine for some reason. A strange, surreal vision comes to my mind's eye of inky blackness leaking out of the envelope, spilling slowly across the table. I can feel it too, like a cold draft is wafting from inside. I pause, feeling an emptiness in my chest. What the hell? I give my head a small shake, breaking out of the trance. I guess it's only natural I feel this way. That's Sydney's handwriting on a letter sealed after he licked it. He loved making these treasure hunts. It's really sad. So it makes sense that I'd feel this sudden drop in mood. I swallow as I continue to pry it open, the feeling getting worse and worse as I do. When it's finally fully opened, the feeling slowly subsides. Tension in the air seems to melt away, too, like the whole town just let out a sigh of relief. I look up for a moment at the others, wondering if they're feeling the same way. It's hard to tell, as they're all looking intently down at my hands. I quickly look down again and stick my fingers inside, feeling a piece of paper catch on a pad. Gently, I press down on it and slowly slide it from the envelope. It's bright white copy paper, folded once in half. It's been creased so long that it's starting to part at the fold in the middle part so that the edges are barely holding it together. Black blotches bleed through the paper, probably written with the same thick marker that was used for the envelope. I gently unfold it, not wanting to rip it apart more than it already has been. The big blotchy black letters are sloppy and childish. Even though it's only a few sentences, it covers the entire page. The last few words trail off in a tiny, almost illegible scrawl. It droops off down the side of the paper as Sydney realized he'd run out of room at the end. Okay, I clear my throat, then start reading. Welcome to Treasure Hunt number 7. This is the biggest one so far, and it took a long time. So no cheating this time. Talking about you, Chase and Carl, no skipping steps. First clue. These things fly really high. It's in there, home with my comb. Chase, you don't have to do this one. I know you hate it. You'll see if you figure it out. Good luck, guys. Sid. I feel my throat close up just a little as I stare down at his name. He always wanted to go by Sid, but it never stuck, so none of us ever did. It just didn't suit him. I look back up at the others. Carl is still staring at the paper, and TJ's looking out the window again. Jenna has a hand up to her mouth, staring as well. Wow. And she wipes at her eyes, and I look away. I guess I never really thought about how this might affect Jenna. She and Sydney never really got along because of the way he treated TJ. But still, he was just a kid, like the rest of us. Carl lets out a ragged cough.
That whole cheating thing was totally you, Chase, not me.
I look up at Carl, raising a brow. You're the one that told me to do it. Carl smirks.
And you're the one that did it.
What did you do? TJ asks quietly from his corner, finally looking away from the window. Well? Sydney liked to reuse certain hiding spots. I mean, there were only so many places he could use.
Yeah, and Chase went straight to Sydney's mailbox and ruined the whole thing like a boss.
I was like 8!
Turns out it was the last spot, and he got the prize.
Carl makes finger quotes around the last word. Yeah, one of those plastic clapper things we used to get in elementary school for reading a lot.
He was so mad.
Yeah. I remember dropping it on the ground because of how lame it was. I remember Sydney crying, but I'm not going to bring that up. Carl seems to have at least lightened the mood, though, and Jenna has stopped wiping at her eyes. I'm starting to think TJ was right about this whole closure thing. I know where he's talking about for this one, though. I tap the paper with a finger.
Yeah, it's the birdhouse.
Birdhouse? Where's that?
The forest.
TJ sits up straighter, ears up as well. The birdhouse is on one of the trees close to the road. Oh, well, I never went in there because of all the stuff that would get in my fur. TJ looks back out the window. The sun gone now, though the clouds in the sky are still tinged red. You guys want to do it tonight?
Really? It's getting kinda late, and we still gotta eat.
Carl looks eagerly over at the front counter, through the small rectangle that leads to the kitchen. We can use Chase's car. Besides, it might be kind of fun in the dark. TJ adds the last bit meekly.
Hell no.
As long as you guys know where it is, it shouldn't be a problem. I gently fold the paper back up and start tucking it back into the envelope. What did he mean by saying you didn't have to do that one, Chase? I look up at TJ, then back down at the letter as I gently press the lid of the envelope closed. I thought I saw something and got scared one time. Was a long time ago, though. At least that's what I think he was talking about. Jenna clears her throat, seeming to have collected herself. I think I remember that. My parents told me about it. I frown. Really? I didn't like the idea of that. What did you see? I shrug. A person in the trees. Hanging person. Oh. TJ shudders.
So, hell fucking no to going there tonight then? Sorry for the F word, Tej.
It's fine. I saw a lot of things as a kid. I'm not going to tell them how I'm definitely still scared of that place. Besides, TJ looks really eager to start this, so I'm not going to ruin it for him. But really, that's not what's bothering me right now. I look down at my hands as I try to work out a timeline in my head. When was it that incident happened in the forest? I thought I'd been 10 at the time, since that was when I started going to a psychiatrist. And I'd started going because of that. But that would be impossible because... Here we are! A plate with a massive burger and steak fries lands in front of my face. The big coyote sets a smoothie down for TJ and an even bigger veggie burger down for Carl.
Hey, Janice, is Julian working today?
Jenna smiles at TJ.
No, dear. He's only here when I'm not. He'll be in tomorrow if you're looking to find him. Okay, thanks.
Janice then clutches her tray to her chest and watches this for a moment.
Listen, Chase, TJ, why don't you come by my house again when you get the chance?
I look up at Janice and see that she's got a strange look on her face, confused and worried looking.
What's wrong, Janice?
TJ's voice is full of concern.
Did we do something wrong?
No. You did everything wonderfully. I just want to have a talk about the way I acted the past few days. Janice lets out an exasperated sounding laugh. Not really sure what came over me. Just now realizing how strange it all was. She glances at Carl.
But we can talk about it later, in person. Enjoy your dinner.
She bustles off, tray still held against her body. Carl watches her go, stuffing a few fries into his mouth.
What was that about?
The way Janice had looked at Carl makes me think she doesn't want him knowing about what had happened. I think she just feels bad for making this work so much. I look over meaningfully at TJ.
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
TJ quickly starts sucking on the straw. Well, she should. Jenna's sitting back in the booth, having taken out her brush to start grooming the fur on her face and head. I inconspicuously slide my plate a little further away from her. Well, once we finish, we can go get my car and head to the forest. As I lift my burger and take a bite, I look over at the counter while I see Janice leaning over her notepad. Her shoulders are shaking, and it takes me a moment to realize that she's crying. Oh. The forest is really just a patch of trees on the side of the road near Leo's house. While it's technically small, it still covers several acres, which is enough to get lost in. The sky is a soft blue now, just enough light to see by. It won't be long before that won't be the case, though. I pull off the side of the road, in the spot where I think the birdhouse might be. It's been well over a decade since the last time I've seen it. This is probably where the treasure hunt is going to end, considering the time that's passed. The birdhouse probably isn't even there anymore. We all step out of the car into the warm evening air. Carl folds his arms on the hood of the car and grins at me.
See? Even with the sun gone, it's roasting. At least you can drive me home now.
Yeah. I look over at Leo's house, but his truck is gone. TJ catches my glance.
I might tell him what's going on if we find something and you want him to join us.
TJ picks at his claws. It's all right. I give him a quick side hug as we step up to the edge of the trees. I can see why TJ doesn't want to tell Leo about this. He was right about Leo pretending it didn't happen. I can't imagine it would go well if we told him about dredging up old Sydney's scavenger hunts. So, where is it? Jenna looks into the empty ditch between us and the forest, wrinkling her nose at the old scraps of garbage inside. Well? Carl looks up and down the tree line, squinting. It kinda looks different now, but I think it's about here. It's only like 10 feet in, right? Carl looks at me. That sounds about right. We can fan out and check all the trees that are close to the road. TJ jumps across the ditch lightly, much more lightly than the clumsy hop I execute right after. I land unevenly on the opposite incline and windmill my arms as I lean back. Carl starts laughing before I even fall, but TJ reaches out and grabs me by the shirt, yanking me back up from the ditch. I fall into him awkwardly and quickly step back, brushing myself off, even though there isn't anything on me. Are you okay? I'm fine, thanks. I glare over at Carl, who's still laughing. Did you even try, man? He leaps over easily, clearing the ditch along with a few more feet. That's not fair. I'm an otter. Don't let that hold you back from achieving your dreams. Jenna elects to delicately step around the garbage before climbing up the other side. It's okay. You swim better than any of us, Chase. I sigh. Thanks, TJ. I turn back to the forest, which is much darker as the light struggles to filter through the branches and leaves. Well, let's start before it gets too dark. As we spread out amongst the trees, I'm struck with how quiet it is. The only sound is the crunch of our feet on the dead vegetation, and that starts to fade as the others move further away from me. I zigzag through the trees, trying to get a look at their full circumferences. From what I remember, the birdhouse was a plain old wooden thing that hardly stood out from the trunk that it was attached to. We might not see it, even if we're looking right at it. While it's been a long time, walking between these trees does bring back some memories. We stopped coming here after what happened to Sydney, mainly because this was his favorite place to hang out. He liked to play capture the flag here. I can still remember how fast he was, how I'd only catch glimpses of his tail between the trees before he disappeared with the flag. His team won almost every time. The summer of 2002 was the last time we played. Sydney had even been getting along better with TJ then. That might have been the last summer of my life until it happened. It was almost like Echo saw us having too much fun and wanted to end it. For good. Sydney had still been a dick, though. The image of Sydney whipping TJ mercilessly with the towel we used as a flag comes to mind. I move closer to the edge of the tree line before slanting back in again. Looking up between the branches, I see that the sky is a darker blue now. Pretty soon, it'll be pitch black. It was about this light the last time I was here. I'd come alone, and I was 10. Maybe 9? It's hard to remember now, but I think I'd gone there because I was sad. I had had good memories of the forest, so I thought going there might make me feel better. I was standing in the forest, waiting to see if I did feel better. It didn't happen, so I'd sat down in the leaves and started crying. I was there for maybe 5 minutes before I heard some branches creaking above me. I'd looked up and saw feet swinging around. This confused me, so I stood up and backed away, staring up as I slowly realized I was seeing a fox being hung by its neck. Even now I can remember the way he looked. his overalls and his white shirt. His head had been tilted down toward me, his tongue lolling out of his muzzle, his eyes blank. I can even remember what looked like pinkish red blood on the white fur of his chin. Then I tripped over a branch, and when I looked back up, he was gone. Can't remember much after that, except that I'd gone home and told my parents. That ended up with me seeing a doctor. They never found anything wrong with me, at least anything that might relate to seeing things. In the end, we were told that sometimes kids hallucinate, and that it would stop happening as I got older. I hugged myself, feeling cold and a little scared now that I've brought up that old memory. While I know that I was at the age where kids hallucinate most often, I still can't get out of my mind how real it had been. Still, that's not exactly what's giving me the chills right now. Because I just realized that had been the summer after Sydney passed away. That's why I was so sad, because I remembered how happy the summer before that had been. So what Sydney wrote didn't make any sense. Unless I'm going crazy. A creak behind me makes me jump and I whirl around, eyes scanning the branches, terrified of what I might find. But there's nothing. Just branches creaking in the wind. I stare for a while longer before a shout from far down the line of trees makes me jump.
I found it!
It's TJ's voice, high-pitched and excited. I shake myself out of my trance and start jogging towards where the lynx's voice came from. Maybe I've confused things and I'm just remembering things incorrectly. It's the only thing that makes sense. As I come up on the lynx, Carl and Jenna are already there, standing around a tree trunk. Sure enough, a little wooden birdhouse is tied to the trunk with rusty wires. I can't believe it's still here.
It does look pretty beat up.
Jenna points to a little wooden plug in the opening. It's closed up. I think it's been closed this whole time.
I don't know. Maybe.
TJ pokes at the plug with a claw, then grips around the edges with all his claws before gently pulling the wooden cork-like thing out. A thick, sticky-looking trail of cobwebs follows it. We all stare into the dark hole that's revealed.
Chase, want to reach in there? I'm sure there aren't any spiders.
I shiver involuntarily.
I don't really want to either.
Jenna sighs before pushing past TJ. Bending over, she picks up a twig and sticks it into the hole before swirling it around. When she pulls it back out, it's like she's made a cotton candy cone of spider webs. She drops that, then takes out her phone, turning on the flash light before holding it up to the opening. Well, we all wait anxiously for her to say something. There is something. With that, she reaches in with just her fingers. After a few crinkling sounds, she pulls out a Ziploc bag, and inside is a folded-up piece of paper and a blue comb.
Holy shit, no way!
Well, no one ever comes back here, so I guess it makes sense.
He actually put a comb in there to make it rhyme. Ha 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 ha.
Jenna makes a few jerky motions away from the birdhouse to get rid of the cobwebs. She looks around, then sticks it out to me. Since you read the last one? Okay. I glance at TJ, but he doesn't make any indication that he might want it. The bag is covered in what looks like dirt and cobwebs, a few clumps of both that dangle from the bottom. I open it carefully, and when I pull out the paper, I can tell it's been wet a few times. It's a little crumpled, but when I unfold it, the water damage isn't bad enough that I can't read it. Still, the paper immediately splits in two this time. I have to hold them together as I read it. It's dark to the point where I have to have Carl hold up his phone to give me some light. Good job, but that was a little easy, right? Next, we will find out how brave you are. I know this was already a scary test for Chase, but that doesn't count.
Do you remember?
Get a flashlight and make sure Leo is with you. Here it is. Stay in school. It will be cool. We'll have fun in 301. I hope you don't die. Sid. We're all quiet for a moment. Then TJ giggles. I look at him, but he's covering his mouth with a hand so I can't see him smiling.
That's not really a riddle, is it?
I smile. Go easy on him. He was a kid.
Sorry.
So, the old school in room 301. I assume that's what he meant by a test of courage.
Shit. Shoot. He went in there all by himself? I wouldn't even do that.
Yeah, that is a little weird. The feeling that something isn't right grows inside my chest. Well, we have to break the law to get in there. We'd be trespassing. Jenna glances at TJ because we all know the Lynx wouldn't dare break the law. Besides, it's getting late. Maybe we can go check it out tomorrow. One of us can go in for you, TJ. TJ looks up at the sky where stars are starting to twinkle through the branches.
Well, if we're going to trespass, we should do it at night, right?
Jenna's mouth falls open. What? TJ looks flustered.
I mean, we don't have all that much time left here, so we should probably get as much of it done as we can.
So, you're okay with breaking the law?
Well, yeah, if it means we can finish this.
We all stare at him.
I don't know what else to say. I just really want to get this done. Feels right.
We're all quiet for a moment before Carl claps his hands together.
Well, all right then. Let's go. We've still got a few hours before I'm going to bed.
Jenna sighs loudly. All right, but I want to get back before 10 so I can finish my papers.
Yeah, don't worry. Onward!
Carl marches ahead of us, taking a running leap across the ditch. I look at TJ, who's still looking fidgety again. Hey, we'll finish this before we have to leave, okay? TJ gives me a small smile.
Okay.
Carl says that a cop still patrols Echo randomly at least once a night. Because of that, we let Jenna sit out in the car and keep watch. If someone shows up, she'll text us, which should give us time to get out the back of the school. It'll still look suspicious as hell, but as long as we're not caught on the property and have some sort of excuse, we should be fine. At least, that's what Carl says. We stand there in front of the door, and I notice that a couple chains hang loosely off the door, no lock to be found. Well, at least that hasn't changed. Carl shrugs.
Teenagers break in all the time. No point in putting a lock back on every time.
Carl gives the door a shove and it slides open very slowly, letting out an unearthly squeal as it does. The three of us stand there, staring into the darkness. TJ fidgets next to me. Having second thoughts?
No!
His voice comes out in a creaky squeak that Carl snorts at.
Just so dark.
Nighttime has a way of doing that, my man. Good thing I charged my phone before we left.
Carl takes out his phone from his pocket and holds it up before turning on the light.
Mine's almost dead.
We can share. Carl sweeps the light inside, revealing graffiti-covered walls and dirt-covered floors.
Nice.
I look back and see Jenna staring at us from the car. She gives me a thumbs up. I inhale deeply. Well, let's go. I check out my own phone and step inside, and TJ follows me. Carl stands next to us, spinning in a circle.
Well, it's not that creepy.
Okay, so the rooms here are the 200s.
TJ points at a doorway next to us, a small label above it reading 203.
So that means we have to go up one floor.
Carl swoops his light around and points to the staircase.
Shall we?
Those things better be stable. Carl points his light up the staircase.
I can see some graffiti up there. It's probably fine.
The ram leads the way, at first tentatively setting a hoof on the first step before testing the next.
Yeah, it's good.
And with that, he strides up the stairs while TJ and I follow a little more hesitantly.
Why don't they just demolish this place?
Heard they wanted to turn it into a museum. Can't see why, though.
Carl shines his light on the railing, the wood rotted and broken.
Hey, do you guys remember when Chase saw someone staring out from one of the windows up here?
Oh my gosh, please! Don't talk about this right now!
Do you even remember that, Chase?
Yeah, actually. That was a long time ago. I hardly remembered it, but I do remember seeing a dark form in one of the windows. I'd been positive it was just an object sitting in the room, but I'd wanted to tell my friends that I'd seen a ghost. It was nothing like what I saw in the trees. Thinking about it is creeping me out, though.
Stop!
DJ whines as we reach the top of the stairs, then, clearly trying to change the subject, points up at the door.
All right, 305, so maybe this way? Chase, let me see your phone.
DJ takes it from me and points it up at the next door over.
Yeah, 304, so the last one down.
He hands me back my phone and stands there a moment. Carl chuckles.
Want me to go first? You scared?
DJ glares at him. Come on, guys. I want to get out of here, too.
Okay.
Carl leads the way again, down the hall to the very end. There's more stuff in the way on this floor with a lot of desks and chairs. Carl keeps his light up, counting down the doors.
303 and 302. Ah! Fuck!
TJ jumps a foot in the air and I point my light at Carl.
What?
Carl turns around sheepishly, rubbing his hip.
Ran into this stupid desk. Her like a mother.
Really, Carl?
TJ clings to me, taking a deep breath.
But here's the door.
Carl points the light back up above the door, and sure enough, there's a 301 up there. TJ and I stand next to him, both staring into the dark room.
Hey, I think this might actually be the room you saw the thing staring at you from.
Carl?
There's a warning tone in TJ's voice. I rub my chin. Actually, yeah. I think it is. TJ sighs loudly and closes his eyes.
Guys, please,
Can we just...
Ah!
Ah!
Carl thrusts his hands into TJ's sides as he yells, sending TJ into a hysterical fit of screaming and grabbing onto me. I stumble as I try to keep the lynx from rending my flesh with his claws.
Oh, shit! Sorry! Ow!
Carl reaches out to, I assume, comfort TJ, but gets a backhand across the face in response.
You ass!
Watch the two of them with wide eyes, never having seen TJ so indignant. Carl stares back, a hand up to his cheek.
Whoa!
All right, let's start looking.
As if nothing had happened, TJ takes my phone and strides into the room, his tail twitching in irritation.
I can't believe you slapped me.
Carl calls after him, but gets no response. I smile, trying not to laugh as I walk past the ram.
Can you?
He asks me, rubbing his cheek as he follows me in. Hey, you asked for it. Probably not the best time to be scaring him.
Yeah, whatever. What the hell are we looking for anyway?
I look around. From what I can see, there's not much left in the room. A few desks are pushed up against the wall, and aside from a chalkboard and map at one end of the room, there's nothing else. I go over to stand by TJ at the other end of the room, looking at the desks. There's not much in here, is there? TJ sweeps the light around the room, frowning.
Not really.
He points the light at Carl, who's at the other end of the room by the chalkboard.
Anything written on the chalkboard, Carl?
Carl shines his light on the board, then gasps. What?
There is. It's a whole lot of dick.
Carl steps up to the side, pointing his light at the board, and sure enough, it's covered in countless drawings of dicks. TJ sighs. I mean, we were bound to hit a roadblock eventually. I trail off, staring at the window at the far end of the room where I see a small-looking box on the ledge. What's that? I point and TJ shines a light over at it. A metal toolbox glints back at us. TJ immediately walks over to it, and I follow him. Carl joins us as TJ fiddles with the latches, popping them open. There's a soft creak as he lifts the lid, a tray extending out as he does. And there, sitting in the tray, is another folded piece of paper. There's no way.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Why not?
TJ gently picks up the note, handing me back my phone.
Shine that on this for me, please.
Someone would have taken it by now.
Well, they didn't, see?
TJ had unfolded it, and he shows me the handwriting, the exact same we'd seen on the other two notes. I frown, but I don't say anything more. Maybe it did. Just sit there for the past 10 years, no one wanting to bother an old-looking toolbox. But this place is broken into regularly, with the whole point being to tag or take stuff. Someone definitely should have taken it by now. This was all on top of the idea that Sydney came in here as a little kid just to hide a note. Something isn't right, and I'm starting to feel uneasy. I don't have time to dwell on that, though, as TJ begins to read.
So you went to the school. You found it with some tools. Next, go to where I sleep. It's where I keep my secrets, something Chase can't keep. Sid.
It's silent for a moment as we all take that in. I feel my face flush and my fur prickle as I wonder what the hell that last line is supposed to mean. Carl and TJ don't look at me, but I can sense that they want to. Carl was the first one to make a sound, clearing his throat.
So Sydney's bedroom, maybe?
That's what I'm thinking. This is a kid writing this stuff, so it should be pretty straightforward.
I shake my head. Really, guys? TJ finally looks over at me.
What?
There's a defensive tone in TJ's voice, and I know he knows what I'm about to say. This is way too much. TJ frowns at me.
Too much what? You know.
I trail off, not used to TJ looking at me this way. He lets the silence drag on, and I look over to Carl for help. He clears his throat again.
You know, Deej, this is pretty weird. Like, someone would have probably taken it by now.
Why does that have to be the case? People could have just missed it. We almost did.
TJ looks back down at the note, holding it in both paws. I reach out for it, but TJ pulls it back like I'm going to try and steal it from him. Can I look at it for a sec? TJ hesitates and holds it out to me slowly. I eye the links as I reach out, taking the note from him gently. TJ's behavior alone has me deciding that this whole thing is definitely a bad idea. The note looks old, just like the first two we found. The writing looks the same, too. Maybe it is possible that Sydney came in here to hide the note, wanting to make this scavenger hunt especially scary for us. Still, I can't shake the feeling that something is off about it. I need to find time to really think about this. For now, though, I hand the paper back to TJ, who takes it from me gingerly, as if worried it'll fall apart.
Carl, do you know who lives in Sydney's old house now?
Carl tips his head back as if thinking.
I can't remember his name, but he's a red panda, I think.
Well, let's go then.
I give a start.
To the house?
His family moved out right after it happened. There's no way it's still there, TJ.
The other two were.
This is different, though.
Might as well try.
I can't imagine going up to the new homeowner and telling him about Sydney and this posthumous scavenger hunt, and him just letting us in. But the determined look on TJ's face tells me right away that I won't be able to talk him out of it. I sigh. Oh, well, can we at least do it tomorrow? I look at my phone. It's almost 10. TJ doesn't say anything as he looks out the window, his face barely visible in the darkness. Carl shifts around next to me.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty tired. We'll have all day tomorrow.
TJ suddenly turns around and heads for the door.
Fine. But we are going. I am, at least.
Carl glances at me, probably feeling as uneasy as I am.
Hey, I'm coming too. Just think it'll be easier.
TJ doesn't respond, and we make the rest of the treacherous journey out of the school in silence. Jenna looks up from her phone as I slide into the driver's seat. Find anything? Yeah. Another note? Yep. Well, did it say anything? I busy myself with searching my pockets for the key, so Jenna turns in her seat to look back at Carl and TJ. Well?
Next one is at Sydney's old house.
What? Really?
Yes, we're going there tomorrow.
TJ doesn't offer anything more, so Jenna turns back around in her seat and gives me a look. She seems to sense the mood, though, and doesn't question any further. As I stick the key into the ignition, TJ speaks up again.
Jace, what did he mean by you not keeping secrets?
A moment of silence goes by before I answer. I don't know. Or at least I don't remember. It's been a long time. I lay awake next to TJ, listening to Lynx's steady breathing. I've been tossing and turning for the past 3 hours, trying to get some sleep, but my mind won't settle. This whole scavenger hunt has left me with such a bad taste in my mouth. Something about it is especially unsettling, and I've turned it over and over in my mind, examining it from every angle, and now I'm sure of it. I saw that fox hanging in the forest after Sydney died. That's why I was there in the first place. That's why I'd been so sad. I turn over on my side, gripping my pillow in both paws as I stare at the wall, still listening to TJ's soft snoring behind me. So how the hell is any of this happening? It's scary, but not because I think Sydney's ghost is riding scavenger hunts, or stupid shit like that. No. Someone wrote the notes pretending to be Sydney, then planted them around the town for us to find. And that someone is likely one of us. Leo, Carl, Jenna, Flynn, or even TJ. Are any of us sick enough to do something like that? And if so, who? I try to remember if I'd told anyone about that incident in the forest before today, but I honestly can't remember. Apparently, my mom had told some people about it, Jenna's parents for one. I can't really imagine Jenna being among the aforementioned. Whoever's writing them seems to like singling me out, too, mentioning the forest and how I told secrets. I roll back to stare at the ceiling and start wondering about TJ. He's been acting really strange the past few days. His bright, cheerful demeanor almost completely gone after we started the treasure hunt. I guess it's possible that he's upset enough to do something that's as crazy as this. Maybe it can make him feel like he's connecting to the person he'd watched die over a decade ago. Maybe he did it a long time ago and it's only now that we've come across them? Maybe he can't remember because he buried those memories. Those papers do seem pretty old, but I can't shake the feeling that this person has it out for me in some way. I think about how Carl was the one to find it in the first place. But I almost immediately dismiss the idea that Carl might be involved. He would have no reason to do it. Unless. The only other person I can even imagine doing this is Flynn. He was the one most upset about Sydney's death, aside from TJ. Carl and Flynn seem to have grown pretty close over the past year or so. Could the two of them be involved somehow? It's pretty suspicious that it would just show up in Carl's basement. I roll back to my side, preferring to stare at the wall. I don't like suspecting my friends like this, but this whole thing is messed up on so many levels, and I'm really worried about TJ. Depending on how this all ends, it could make things even worse for him. Considering how Flynn treated TJ at the river, I wouldn't be surprised if it's leading up to something terrible. And on top of all of that, there's the insidious way that these rhymes refer to me. I decide that I'm going to have to do something after we find the next note, depending on what it says. If we even find it at all. I'm hoping that we don't.
If you go in, I'll give you $1.
No.
$5.
No.
10.
No.
You could buy, 20 candy bars with that money.
I'm not going in.
All right. Quit yelling.
Carl and I swing side by side, synchronizing our legs so that we swing back and forth at the same time. As always, it doesn't work because Carl's so much heavier than I am. The wind feels good on my fur, finally cooling me down after being out in the heat all day. Toby sits on top of the slide next to us, watching with a bored look on his face.
It's my turn, Chase.
In a minute.
It's been like 15 minutes.
Nuh-uh. Toby sighs and sits back, pouting. I look back over at the old school and smile. But if you go inside, I'll let you.
No!
Toby's shout seems to echo around us and I giggle. Fine. We swing a little longer, the rhythmic squeaking of the chains being the only sound.
When's Sydney coming back with the popsicles? He's taking forever.
Maybe his mom caught him and made him stay home?
Ugh.
Carl leans back far in the swing and I feel the entire thing shift around. I wonder if it's going to collapse.
We should go to your house, Chase. It's too hot.
I want to swing.
I lower my feet and let them kick through the dirt as I slow myself down, sending a cloud of dust in the air. This talk about Sydney reminds me of something. Something I'd been told about yesterday, and now that he isn't here... Hey guys, my mom told me something about Sid yesterday. Toby has already slid down the slide and walking up next to me, holding one of the chains on the swing as he tries to push me out of the seat. Don't push me, Toby. Don't you want to hear it? It's a secret. I move to stand between the two swings as Carl kicks his hooves into the dirt next to us.
Keep swinging, Carl. I want to swing with you.
Wait, what's the secret?
Swing, Carl!
Wait a second. It's really weird. That seems to finally catch Toby's attention and he settles down.
What?
Carl and Toby stare at me, and for the first time, I feel a little worried about telling them, but having their full attention like this is kinda cool. You know what happened to Sid's dad a while ago when school started, right?
Yeah?
Carl's completely stopped on the swing now, staring at me. Well, my mom says the cops think it's really weird what happened.
Sydney's dad died. He's in heaven now.
Toby says it matter-of-factly and starts to swing a little again.
Even if you're a Mormon, you can go to heaven. My dad said so.
Yeah, but do you know how he died? I start whispering and look over my shoulder at the dirt road to see if Sid is coming. It's empty for now.
He accidentally got shot when he was hunting with Sid.
That's what the adults told us, that he was accidentally shot, maybe while he was loading his gun. My mom said they aren't sure if that really happened, though.
What do you mean?
Toby seems to have taken interest again and stopped swinging, staring at me. Well, maybe Sid did something. Carl frowns.
Like, Sydney did it?
I mean, I don't know, but my mom said to be careful around him, just in case. Toby's eyes suddenly widen even more as he suddenly understands.
Sydney killed his dad?
Toby flinches as I grab his muzzle with one paw, squeezing it shut.
You have to keep it a secret.
Toby just sits there staring at me. Carl does the same. Now, I kind of wish that I hadn't told them. They don't know, though. My mom just said to be careful. That's it. It might have been an accident. I talk kind of fast, like I'm trying to take back what I just said. I let go of Toby, but he just sits there and doesn't swing. Carl just stares at the ground, then his ears flick up. A few seconds later, I hear scuffing footsteps making their way up the dirt road, and I turn around to see Sydney jogging toward us. His arms are filled with colorful ice pops wrapped in plastic.
Hey, sorry, I had to go into the basement freezer to find some. They're Super Wolf Pops.
He stumbles up next to us, kicking up another cloud of dust. He stands there for a second, breathing heavy, sweating through his thick fur.
Grab one.
The three of us reach out automatically and take one of our own. Mine is partially melted already, blue liquid pooling at one end of the plastic. Sydney frowns at us.
So, what were you guys talking about?
Nothing.
Carl says it almost before Sydney can finish the sentence. Sydney glares.
Yeah, right. What were you saying about me?
Sydney turns on me and I just shake my head, busying myself with opening the plastic. Then Sydney turns to Toby, his glare turning into a smirk.
All right, Tobias. You'd better tell me what you were talking about.
I feel my stomach turn even as I open the package and turn it upside down to pour the sweet blue juice into my mouth.
Tell me, or I'm gonna wrestle you.
Sydney goes at Toby with his paws up, baring his blunt claws. Toby eyes him for a moment, but once Sydney gets close, the lynx twists out of the way like only a cat can.
Don't touch me!
Toby hides behind Carl and I as Sydney turns to watch him, lowering his paws slowly.
What's wrong?
Toby doesn't say anything, standing behind me quietly. I can feel his cold ice pop pressing against my back. We stand in silence for a while, and I can see Sydney trying to figure out what's going on. I try to think of something fast. Hey, let's go to my house and play on the trampoline.
Yeah.
Carl hops off the swing and starts walking toward the road. I follow him as Toby clings to my side. Sydney doesn't follow, and after a moment, I turn back to look at him. He's glaring at me. What? He goes on glaring before throwing his ice pop into the dirt and running past us.
You guys suck!
He runs up the road and back toward town, disappearing into the bright sunset. Friday. That's Thursday, everyone. That's pretty cool. And it does give us a lot of things to talk about. Let's talk first about how Chase is trying to get TJ to be a more assertive person. And how Chase is a bad mentor in this. Because while he's trying to get TJ to be more assertive, he doesn't really seem to say anything if TJ is going into aggression. Because I think a lot of people, when a passive person is trying to become more assertive, they will overcompensate and start being aggressive. I think the best example of this is Fluttershy's episode in My Little Pony, when they have Iron Will giving his little assertive class. And Fluttershy goes, ridiculously and comically into the aggressive side to the point where she's getting in fistfights and stuff. And that's supposed to be comedic, and it is. But I think it's a great example of how people who are passive, they don't understand where assertive is, so they overcompensate for a while and they become aggressive. I'm not sure if that's a real thing or if it's just a stereotype. Y'all let me know. Y'all have experience in that, have seen people or have done it. I like TJ's forms of being aggressive, because basically when Carl kind of tests him and calls him out and says he could be a killer and starts blaming his entire life on that incident, TJ just kind of turns around and says, yeah, you know what? You need to take responsibility for your own shit, how you're dealing with it. I'll get more on that in a moment, but I also want to bring up how TJ's perspective on how he helps Janice. It's not really her taking advantage of him, because that's what everyone else thinks. Chase thinks it. Jenna thinks it. But TJ, it seems like it's an intrinsic form of joy. It brings him an intrinsic form of joy. He likes doing it. It's like his form of pleasure. Some people, like Carl, oh wow, I just realized this. Carl's entire idea of where he gets pleasure and joy and happiness, it comes from outside. He does drugs. He's always high. He gets drunk, and this one he's gone way overboard. Worse than any of them have ever seen him, or so Chase says. And you can actually see these two perspectives on where you get joy. If it's an intrinsic, based on yourself, or if it's extrinsic and you need external stimuli to get pleasure and joy from life. TJ says that helping Janice makes him feel good. That's an intrinsic source of joy for him. He enjoys helping people. Carl, though, I guess maybe you could also say that because TJ needs to help other people, that the other people are his source of joy, so he also is extrinsic. But I think he just has like this intrinsic source of joy. I'm going to put that as that's intrinsic. And Carl is just all use drugs, they make you feel good, that's where your joy comes from. It's extrinsic. But yeah, again, I'd like to hear what you guys feel about that, if that's true or not. Because I think that could be one storyline, one maybe trope. Is that the right word? Trope? I certainly think the 10 Fingers or Never Have I Ever game is probably supposed to be a comedy of errors kind of skit. Especially considering all the things that TJ was getting at, and Chase felt all those things were directed at him and not at Carl. But the comedy of errors skit is Carl feels like they're all things done at him. They're all shots fired at him. And we can all see that. Because just look at some of the things that TJ was saying. Never have you ever done drugs. Been late to class. Gotten less than A- in a class. Been in a car accident. Yeah, these are all things that Carl has done. 100%. He has done drugs. Hell, he's on drugs while they're playing the game. Never been late to class. Carl was a pretty bad student. Never gotten less than an A- in a class. He was a bad student. Never been in a car accident. And maybe TJ did genuinely forget that Carl had mentioned that. Carl took it too far with his. With the never have I ever killed someone. That's just messed up. But in that same moment, Carl shows some vulnerability, but he blames other things and doesn't take responsibility for how he's handling his trauma. And we know, like, it wasn't just that, even though he says it's just that. We also know from other routes it's not. He had a girlfriend break up with him, and that really wrecked him. To the point where he was self-medicating with marijuana. He went to a counselor, and it didn't seem to help him too much. And to TJ's credit, this might be one spot where he's a little over-assertive, but I think he was perfectly assertive. TJ calls Carl out on blaming everyone else. Says, stop blaming others and start blaming yourself. And that seems to help Carl, because after he sobers up some, he does start taking responsibility, even though he's not good at resolving the conflict. He apologizes to Chase first. But then only after they come over, he takes responsibility. He apologizes, even tells TJ that it's not TJ's fault. After TJ says he'll be more thoughtful about what he says. And TJ shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around Carl, because Carl's got a lot of shit going on that he hasn't dealt with. And to Carl's credit, he acknowledges that by basically saying, it's not your fault, man. This is all me. Like, I just got to deal with it. You know? That's pretty cool with Carl. There's a little bit of growth. And I think that's something that should help them grow together, closer as friends. The only thing I really see, well, there's two things that could happen. One, Carl could backslide into letting his lack of responsibility take over again. Or TJ could become too over assertive and become real aggressive. And, we're hoping, if we're thinking of the characters, we're hoping that TJ doesn't get too aggressive. We're hoping Carl gets a little better and gets more growth. When we look into later on in the episode, that doesn't seem to be the case. Because TJ is okay. I guess it's okay to be trespassing on a closed school. I mean, it's only trespassing at night. Everyone else has done it. Although, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't make a crime okay. It's still a crime. Everyone else is speeding. You're all speeding if you're all speeding at, 20 miles over the speed limit. It seems to be okay. But the possible excursion into aggression could be when TJ gives Carl in the school a well-deserved smack and a curse. Again, it's well-deserved. It's a scary place. At night, it's a really scary environment, and Carl is yelping and everything else. A scary one for his own amusement, and gets bitch slapped by TJ. Called an ass. Like, yeah, I think that's okay. You deserved it. Chase even admits, yeah, dude, you deserved that. That's kind of funny. Seeing the banter is fun between them. It is a big shock for Carl, though. And Chase, to an extent. But they seem to get over it pretty quick. And I hope that's actually, well, it shows that they could be growing closer. And hopefully it does. And it seems like TJ is trying to help his friends. That's just who TJ is. He wants to help his friends. He wants to help everyone. Again, the intrinsic thing. But he also has trauma about it, and he's also trying to resolve it. And that's why he's encouraging everyone present to do the treasure hunt. With that treasure hunt, why he says it, TJ says he feels like things happen for a reason. Now, someone who used to be involved in a non-denominational church, just like TJ's, he probably feels like this is God's way of resolving the pain. And it's a nice thought. benevolent God seeing his suffering children and having planned a way for them to both end the pain and grow close again, especially in regard to Flynn and all his suspicions of TJ. Yeah, it's a really nice thought for TJ. You know, God's going to bring them all together. God saw this was going to happen, maybe even planned it out, that this is your test in faith. My own little Job, my cat Job. And then this will be the end, the end of this test, this pain. Will bring you all together again. That's probably what TJ's hoping. Maybe I'm just thinking too much into it. Maybe not. We'll see. Well, I guess we'll never will see. TJ doesn't start quoting the Bible. I'd like to talk about Janice too. I wonder, is she the first one that the hysteria hits in this route? Because look at what she was doing this route. She answers the door with no pants on. And then she's crying at the diner. I mean, from an outside perspective, you're just watching this, you can think she's going through some shit. Maybe she's even having a mental breakdown. And she's saying she wants to explain herself to Chase and TJ. And I don't remember if she does or not. We'll have to see. But Chase thinks that they're digging a grave. The hole she asked them to dig is a grave. It could be. But it's too small for two people. It's like 3 wide, right? It's about the width of a person. And Jan's supposed to be a big girl. Like massively overweight. Maybe Janice is asking them to dig her own grave. That's a sad thought, because she's kind of a fun character. Whatever is going on, she's hiding it well. Despite her being a side character, we don't really get to see too much of it. And if that is hysteria, we can also see the end of Thursday. This is where Chase starts to succumb to his hysteria. It's hitting him. Finally, it's hitting him. He's very suspicious of this mysterious person singling him out for stuff he knows he did. He just doesn't want his friends to know about it. Finally, before I end this episode, I want to bring up Sydney and the picture the routes paint of him. They paint him as someone who really liked playing with his friends. This treasure hunt that they're all doing, this was like his fun and creative way of doing something with them. Him giving back to his group of friends. Because he was raised by a piece of shit, Mr. Bronson wasn't really the best person. We suspect that he abused Sydney. So Sydney was just trying to, get away and do something fun with his friends, probably to, thank him for it. And yeah, he bullied TJ a lot with the wrestling, but I really don't think Sydney saw it as bullying. I think Sydney just loved wrestling, and TJ and Chase both agreed to wrestle with him. And so, even though he would take it too far with the no rules, so everything's legal, choke the hell out of TJ, I think he was just playing a character, because we already know from Flynn's route that Sydney thought everything he saw in the wrestling ring on TV was real. He didn't know it's all scripted. How could he? He's just a kid, And he's pretty athletic, a lot more athletic than Chase. When they were playing Capture the Flag in the Forest, he's fast. Another route, I think Leo said that Sydney would have been a great asset on the high school football team. So it's like, the more you learn about Sydney, the sadder his story gets. Especially when you factor in the potential he had. Now, if you're kind of scoffing at the idea of potential, I do. Every time someone brings up, usually it's about a fetus. What about the potential of this life? Well, it's a clump of cells right now. But, there's potential, but you're just like, you didn't get to see it. But in Sydney's case, you did get to see it. And you got to see the real potential that Sydney had. And that's what makes his story so sad. Yeah, when you first get into Echo, you kind of just think Sydney was an asshole. And then the more you get into it, as you do all the routes and piece it all together, you start to realize Sydney was just this hurting kid. He was just a kid who grew up in kind of a not so great environment that just wanted to be with his friends. And, he had all these different ways of trying to give back and just play with them. And he actually had a lot of potential. And he was really taken from all of them and the world, way too early. So it's sad. I'd like to know what y'all think about it. If y'all put more together, if y'all put more stock into that and Sydney's potential and his story, I'd like to hear what you have to say. Because you're really insightful as well. So, I think that will do it for Thursday. That'll do it for this episode. I'll see y'all for Friday in Echo. So, please hit me back in the comments. Love to hear what you have to say. Until next time. Bye.